Da-da. Hello and welcome. We are live. Happy Saturday. We're doing Saturday today because
Saturday for
obviously
us. I
Saturday
guess
for
Friday in
us,
North America. Friday in North
Friday
America.
night. Yep. And yes, tomorrow we've got a course starting, so that's why we're doing today, Saturday. And today is called Escape from Planet Stupid. Um, I guess what we wanted to talk about today is, you know, we do a lot of these shows and we put a lot of information out there and ideas and concepts. And what we find is a lot of people, like our stuff, but not that many people actually are prepared to change, to do anything, to self-reflect, to take the time to actually make something change. And everyone says all the time, everyone I meet, I want change, I want something different, I want this, I want that. But what are we really doing? I mean, information is just information. And I think what we need to do is turn it into gnosis, knowledge, a practical, understanding of it and put it into action, or else what's the point, really? I mean, what's the point? It's kind of a bit like watching the news, right? So Escape from Planet Stupid. What is Planet Stupid? I think that, and of course we've called it planet. We know that we don't live on a planet. But the planet is stupid, right? Like, this is what we're taught. The whole media thing, you live on a spinning ball shooting through space. The media tells us what to do and they're correct. And we've got all this information. But I think at this point, we know that most of that is just all BS, right? It's just programming, trying to get us all to believe what those who wish to rule us want us to believe. Because when we do, we create the world that they want instead of the world that we want. And that's really the crux of today's show is it's time to end that. It's time to really start, putting your feet on the track, as they say, walking forward and making actual changes. Because like I said, if we don't, then what's the point of any of it? It's
Yeah,
all
I mean,
fun and games to say, I like this and oh, but it's a good concept and everything's love and light. But what does that really mean? How you going, Lorenzo?
good. I'm doing good. And yes, Mike, idiocracy. I'm hoping people don't take this the wrong way. In that, I'm feeling it gives us our full power to see and understand that we're creative beings. Spark of the creator, if you like. We're here to create. We already have everything we need. We're already wonderful beings, full of love, light. Yes, we are, but we're also full of all the shadows and darkness and other things that you see in your day to day. I'm not saying in the wide world. If you look at the TV and you see something bad is happening here or horrible is happening there, you can turn the TV off. So I'm basically talking about our day to day. When you come across something you find stupid, let's say, or you find hard, or you find not loving, or you find unwelcoming, why is it in your life? Why is it there? And I feel if we're honest and we understand and we look at what our part might be in the creative aspect of whatever is in front of us in the moment. Like, let's say you're in an argument, or let's say you did something when you were 12 in the schoolyard. You stole someone's lunch money if you were a man, let's say, or you called a lady's hair funny if you were a lady because you were envious of their money or their hair or what have you. Whatever it was, we've all done these kind of stupid things. And then it becomes part of us as we grow up as to, like, why did you pull their hair? Why did you steal his money? You can figure that out for yourself. And if you claim responsibility for that, and you find the reasons for that, whatever they are for you, as Campbell put at the bottom of our thumb here, it's time to get real. That will help you get more real with yourself, and it will allow you one step closer to escaping Planet Stupid by taking responsibility of how the life you made or accepted or with your belief system is, by your own definition, let's say, stupid or not
Mm.
nice.
Indeed. And hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks for being here. Hello to the mods, Hippie Shake as usual, and Chris. Appreciate you all. Yeah, I mean, Flat Earth Dave says, if you, to do with the shape of the Earth, if you believe their ball game, you have to play by their ball rules. And it's kind of the same, like if we believe what we're told and what the system tells us, then we're sort of we're acquiescing to their rules, right? We have to play by their rules. But the bigger picture is we create everything, like everything, and even if it's not created through our conscious mind, I believe that we've agreed to it all before we come down here. So everything that happens to us is there for a reason, and that's powerful to know that, because it means that you're no longer a victim. You know, being a victim is not a good place to be, obviously, because someone else is controlling you. So if we create everything, and believe me, I've been through some things in the last couple of years, and I'm like, I didn't create this. What the hell? What the hell? But the funny thing is with, you know, things that happen to us that we don't necessarily want, if we can look at them, you know, with an open mind and ask what is the lesson here, then we can move, we can learn, right? And we can grow through that. But if we sit there and think, oh, poor little me, how did this happen? Blah, blah. And the worst is, why did this happen again? If you're finding the same things happening over and over, why am I always in this situation? That's 100% you creating that, because clearly, right, not everyone's going through that. And so if we keep creating these same circumstances, that's the universe tapping us on the shoulder, or sometimes smacking us in the face, right, going, you need to learn this lesson to move forward. And this seems to be the point where a lot of people, you know, aren't that prepared to do it. The whole self-help movement and the whole love and light movement, and you know, I've spoken to a lot of these people and watched a lot of the videos, and everything's love and light. Just got to be love and light. Well, what's the result of that? Like, that's a good question, right? Like, because I see it all the time, love and light, and then you talk to these people and you find that their life is falling apart. So it's not just saying something; it's understanding a concept. Like, what is being love and light? It's literally being, you know, pouring your love out from your body, right? It's not necessarily but being kind to people, because sometimes to love someone, it's not that kind, right? Because to love someone means that you want the best for them. And, you know, not everything in life is easy. Like, there's a saying, right? Easy decisions, hard life. Hard decisions, easy life. So if we're prepared to take these hard lessons and make the hard decisions, then things actually get easier. And we can get off that roundabout of, oh my God, this thing's happening to me again, right? So this is it, you know, it's time to get real. It's time to get real. Like, what do you really want out of life? And how are you going to get there? What are you prepared to do to get there, to actually change your life and change your circumstances? Because as Lorenzo said, we're the creators. We create all this. So whatever's happening, good or bad in our lives, it's your fault, which we've said many, many times. And that's another good concept to you know, ponder over. What does that mean? It's all your fault. You know, obviously it means the good things are your fault too, but it means whatever, you know, is happening in your life that you don't want, it's your fault. You've created it, which means you can change it, right? You can uncreate it. You can change, you can create something different. And that's why it's so powerful. But still, you know, we've been saying this for a couple of years, people still get very triggered over that one little sentence, it's all your fault. And that to me is showing me that people, and you know, I'm not talking to anyone specifically, but in general, people aren't prepared to make changes. People aren't prepared to take this on and go, okay, I've created this. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you can't change it, right? If you can't fix a problem that doesn't exist.
That's true. You know, you can look at also both sides of a challenge, if you like. You know, the practical, and the reason I find most people are not practical and most people are not reasonable. They're very emotional, living in their belief system, living in their lives. Because, like, let's say you get challenged with something. You know, I was talking with someone yesterday who I've known for a little while, and, you know, they mentioned something that happened 400 years ago as being true. And all I said, well, you know, you don't know that. And then they got angry with me. Well, of course, you know, my ancestors wouldn't have lied to me over 400 years, you know, oral traditions, this, that, and the other thing. And I never said to this person, it's not true. I just said, you don't know for sure. You weren't there. I mean, you could hold both suppositions in your hand and grow from that. It's like, maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. Do you know 100%? Of course not. You know, people forget conversations they had 2 months ago with somebody. You know, two people will say, I was in the room talking and you said this. And they'll go, no, I said that. And then, no, you said this. And they'll go, you know, and so how can you believe something supposedly 1,100, 400 years ago? I'm not saying it's not true. And I'm not saying it's not real and not authentic. I'm just saying maybe, you have to give yourself room for doubt. And that's, I think, where you can escape and get out from Planet Stupid, because you go, maybe it's not true. Maybe I've been bad. Maybe it's my responsibility. Let's say you don't exactly agree with what Campbell just said, even though I do 100%. Maybe you could say, okay, let's play a game with myself. How is this situation created by me? Why am I here? What could I do different? Not, pointing a finger at them, gatekeepers and passing this and all this other nonsense. It's like, even if it's true, what can you do different in the moment that can take you out of your moment to somewhere better as you would like to be? How are you being stupid? I had a dream last night, and I have to say, I'm even a little maybe tired. Basically said, holy cow, you're more stupid than you thought you were. you know, it was a crazy dream. It like went down to the core of my being to show me everything I've made since the time I was born, from that spark of life, is my beliefs, my acceptance, my judgments, my rules, my own limitations I placed on myself. Let's say that, instead of taking them away so that I can grow. And I think we're all narcissists, Mr. Lou Sapphire. Anybody with an ego, anybody that says they can't change, and you keep pointing outside yourself. I've noticed with a lot of your comments, right? And I might suggest is, if you point to yourself and how you can change, you might feel better down the road, and you might get away from this planet, which you're pointing out is kind of stupid.
It is. Yeah, and I was just thinking about, we've had this whole thing of, reparations come up into the consciousness over the last couple of years, which is, people think that they need to be paid money, basically, right, is really what they want. But they believe that they need reparations for something that happened to their ancestors hundreds of years ago. And, number one, we don't know that that actually happened, right? It's all his story. But two, like, how's that going to fix their life? How's it going to help them? Like, if someone's, struggling and they're like in a bad position and you give them money, you're not helping them. You're really not. Most people, I think I've said this before too, they did a study on people who win the lottery. And most people who won over $1 million within, I think it was 3 years, they were worse off than before they won the money. Because unless your consciousness, your thinking has caught up to that, then you're just going to live like you always did, right? And there's a reason that you're not a millionaire now if you're not. And that's because, you're not ready. You haven't grown into that space if that's what you want. And obviously this is just talking about money. So this is the thing. What is, the end result of what we're doing? What do we really want? Because getting stuff given to us, that doesn't help us at all. We have to earn things. When we want something different, we have to grow. We have to grow to get to the level of whatever you want to call it, right? Vibration, frequency, blah, 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 to match what we want. Because there's a reason that we don't have it now. And that's because we're not on that level yet. That's why when you say, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this, life goes, really? And it starts throwing things at you. And it's really saying, are you serious, to start with? But it's also, they're all for us, right? And this is a big question is life happening for you or is it happening to you? A lot of people think it's happening to them. But if you can switch your thinking to it's happening for me, then there's a lesson in everything that happens that you don't necessarily want, right? And those lessons help us grow and go forward, which ultimately give us a better life, give us more perspective, make us more of who we are. And the whole, self-reflection, introspection, and looking at ourselves and what we've actually done and who we've actually been during our life is a good one, right? Because you find out that, we haven't been the best people. No one is perfect. We all make mistakes, and that's the good thing, because there are no mistakes, right? They're just mistakes, right? So if you're doing things wrong, then and you can acknowledge that, then you can change it. But if you're never in the wrong, nothing ever changes, right? Because there's no problem, at least not with you. And people tend to walk around and point the finger at the world. And really, the only place you should be pointing a finger if you're trying to push blame is in front of a mirror, because it's all your fault. And that's the powerful place to live from, because that means that you are the creator of your life. You are at the driver's wheel. You are making the decisions for yourself. And you know, that is the only way that we change our direction, our lives. It's not by saying it's someone else's fault, because I think it was Wayne Dwyer said, you know, if it's the world's fault, you've got to go out and change however many people are out there, right? Let's say 8 billion, like they tell us. If it's the world's fault, you got to go change 8 billion people. But if it's your fault, you just got to change yourself, right? One of these things is doable and the other one is completely undoable. So, you know, again, it's time to get real. If you want change, it's time to get real. You change the real in your head, right? The movie that's playing in your head. You know, if you can change that, then you will change the movie outside that you're interacting with.
Yeah, and we're not telling anybody, in my opinion, I like accountability, Vaughn. It's true, how to be or how not to be. You know, I strongly feel everyone should sit down perhaps and take a sheet of paper and write out their life as they would like to see it, as it's gone for them, as it hasn't gone for them, where they may see themselves in 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, you know, why they aren't where they are, where they would like to be when they haven't been there. You know, there's no Gnosticism here whatsoever, Mr. Hunk or Funk. We're simply saying, you know, if being responsible for your life is Gnosticism, okay. But once again, you have to come back to what is all of this, right? What does that mean? What does the other thing mean? You know, words are just words, and they can be tricky, and the meanings change. You know, the meanings of many words have changed over my lifetime, let alone over thousands of years or tens of thousands of years. So it's a matter of the only thing you can know is real for you is you, right? The only experience you can have that you can change is probably yours, irregardless of the outside world. The only momentum, you know, you can notice is going where you want or not is you talking to yourself. As Campbell said, if you look in the mirror, you know, that's practically wonderful because it gives you the full power, you know. And even if we're wrong, let's say we're 100% wrong, how can it be bad to see for yourself how you can change your life with your own two hands, with your own choices, with your own desires, feelings, and intent, without having to wait for someone to come in? Like you said, if you're waiting for someone, you could be waiting your whole life and help you change. You know, why not pick up your own responsibility, even if you don't believe it? You know, even if you're not sure that it's true, you know, why not believe, you know, you could live the way you want to believe? You know, why not believe you can be free? Why not believe you can be abundant? You know, I haven't come across any good reasons for that, and start seeing how you can change from there, how you can move from there. And that, I believe, one step at a time. You know, maybe you can't see the far picture yet or the other shore, but, you know, a journey of 1,000,000 miles, right, starts with the first step, as they say. And you can't get to the other shore without letting go of this shore. There's a million, you know, poetic ways of looking at it. But the bottom line is, I think we all have hidden resources. I think we all have energetic inside potential that we haven't yet tapped or seen to fruition. And if we start working on it, maybe one step will show the next step, will show the next step. And people that tell you you can't, you shouldn't, someone else's fault, are basically, and you believe them, you're just putting yourself back in the cage of disempowering your own potential in life. And I don't feel that that's a good idea for me. And that's why Campbell and I are doing our course very soon, starting tomorrow even. You know, Find Your Real Self, because it's all about pulling back your own power from wherever it is laying buried, and taking that to make yourself into the kind of person you would like to be, the real person. You know, find your real self. It's time to get real, as Campbell put down there. And I think it's always time to get real, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not new age, and I'm pretty sure Lorenzo's not. We sort of worked that one out a long time ago. So, and you know, for funk, have you even read any of Helena Blavatsky's works? You know, because I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, you know, it's evil, and this person's evil, and blah blah blah." I've read some of her stuff. There's some good stuff in there. And I think everything is pretty much the 80-20 rule, right? There's truth in all, 20% truth in all the lies, and 20% lies in all the truth. And I find a lot of people are scared of reading this stuff because they've been told by the outside world that it's evil or it's bad. Well, the thing is, if we can be autodidactic, right? If we can be self-educated, if we can take control, then we're going to be smart enough to go, well, that's BS. I'm not going to follow that. And we're going to be smart enough to pick out the nuggets. You know, this is the thing. But pushing the New Age agenda, no, definitely not, man. Not a fan of them, you know, because the thing about the New Age movement, it's been, whatever you want to call it, right? Self-help, blah, 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 New Age. How long's that been going? It's definitely been going since at least the mid-'80s as far as books and all this kind of stuff. And what's the result? Is everyone living the life of their dreams? Is everyone happy? Has that even gone up at a major percentage? I don't see it anywhere. All I see is people walking around repeating what other people have said, and nothing changes because they're not embodying it. They're not really understanding what it means. And again, you know, love and light and all these kind of these sayings, they're not all crap. If we really sit down and think about them, there's good stuff in all of it. But unless we understand it, and coming back to the Gnostics, right? Gnosis is to know something, to embody it, right? Not to just sort of know the ins and outs, the details, the information. It's to understand what it means to the point that we can put that into practice. That's what Gnosis is. I mean, the Gnostics are great. They've got some great teachings. They really do. And that's probably the reason that they were completely wiped out, right? And so this is the thing. Like, what's your perspective for funk? Like, because with that comment, it seems to be that you're talking about other people's perspectives, and that's not going to help you. And of course, guys, these are just our thoughts. We're not telling you anything. You know, you can click off now and go, oh my God, those guys are full of crap. Oh my God, how dare they? And that's kind of the point. We kind of want to trigger people, right? Because then something will happen. You'll start at least thinking about different things, you know. But if you don't want to, then you don't have to. But it's all just information. It's all just thoughts for you to contemplate, because we can't change your life, and we understand that 100%. But we can change our lives, and hopefully we can give you a few concepts that you can, you know, mull over, roll around in your brainicle and get something from it, get a new idea, a new perspective. And when you get that, you can take new action. And when we do these, when we think differently and act differently, guess what? We get something different, right? You know, Einstein said, you know, a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about ourselves. I mean, people love talking about themselves. You know, that's the definition of narcissism. But it's not bad. In fact, it's essential when you want to change yourself to talk about yourself. I mean, I saw RF is killing us off. You two aren't the first people to say this stuff, which means, so what? How helpful is that? Of course we're not. Probably 1 billion people have said it. But how helpful is it for you to share that with the class? Well, you know, it's not. You're just maybe missing the point. You know, Patrice over there, Campbell, had a good question. Our experience is part of our souls. Yes. Are part of the Matrix storyline for our avatar, or is there a difference? You know, she's asking, and I'm assuming Patrice is a lady, some very good questions. She's asking about her experience in her life and what she's going through. She's not being specific, but she's still talking about something very intimate and personal to herself. And that's a beautiful question, to ask these kind of questions. You know, it depends what you mean by your soul, I guess. I mean, I think everything we experience is part of our life or part of our journey because, well, we're experiencing it. So how could it not be? Right? And as for the Matrix or the storyline or the avatar, I think these are all definitions of things. You'd have to see what a Matrix means. You have to know what a storyline is. You have to ask what an avatar is. You know, I feel everything that we're experiencing is our experience. It's personal. Like, you know, Campbell and I could be having this chat and we're both going to have different experiences. Be in the same room with 6 people, and everyone's experience of an event is going to feel different. So you really have to ask, you really have to ask yourself how this experience maybe can help you grow into love, if you like. You know, I do think we're all love and light, but how you put that into the world, how you act on that is up to you. Like Campbell said, a love can be a kick in the ass. A love can be a hug. A love can be, you know, taking a candy bar away from a fat person, even though they get angry with you. You know, or a love can be giving a candy bar to someone, you know, at the same time who hasn't had a candy bar in 20 years, right? So, you know, giving a candy bar, is it a love or light action? It really depends on the circumstances and the people involved. at the moment. So
Mm.
everything is very different. Everything is unique to you. And it's not so bad to be a narcissist if that simply means you're looking at yourself and you're understanding yourself, because the only perspective any of us really have, I mean, you can be empathic and look at another person's perspective for sure, but the only one you could know, and I think most people don't, but the only one you could know 100% is your own perspective, that is.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, you know, if we're calling the soul, you know, our spirit, higher self, our eternal, you know, the eternal part of us, then yeah, our experience is part of our soul. Of course it is. And to the point where I believe that we choose our lives and, you know, most of the experiences in it. And then we go down and we experience them because, you know, isn't that's kind of what we're talking about? Like we can map things out, but unless we experience them, we don't know them. We don't get gnosis. The Matrix, the storyline, the Avatar, that's the outside world trying to influence us. And why does that happen? Well, maybe it's because it's to give us a chance to say, well, that's not where I want to go. That's crap. I need to focus on me and my inner world to make the change. So yeah, I would say that we're experienced part of our souls. We've pretty much designed this life and the experiences that we can have, and we come down here and that's what we do. We experience them, and the outside world tries to pull us off our path. And you know, like who knows? You know, has this world been invaded by an evil entity, or is that part of the game? We don't know this, but what we can do is do what gets the best results for us. And you know, I saw this as well. You know, they don't want you free; they want you dependent. Well,
Who are
sure. I
they?
mean, you know, again, who are they? Are they real? Did we choose them to be a part of this game? But what's the result of that thought? You know, because that's not really an empowering thought, is it? You know, if we're a victim and someone, you know, and we're living on a prison planet and it's a jail, and oh my God, we can't do anything. Well, that's how you're going to live your life because that's what you believe. But you can also believe, oh my God, look at these idiots. They're trying to change me again. Ha ha ha. I see what they're doing. They're not going to get in. You know, and that thought makes you stronger, makes you more independent, makes you more of you.
Yep.
And I
Just
was just going to say, like, I did do a bit of recapitulation. And wouldn't you know it, it turned out that it was all my fault.
I mean,
Bloody
that's the
hell, right?
bottom line. Bloody hell. I mean, just because they want something for you. I mean, my mother wanted me to live next door and be a lawyer, right? So she wanted, they want you, enslaved and dependent. My mother wanted this, that, and the other thing. I've had friends that wanted this, that, and the other. I've wanted this, that, and the other thing from other people. Didn't get them. My mother didn't get what she wanted from me. I didn't get what I wanted from, some people I knew a long time ago. I certainly didn't get some stuff from some of the ladies I wanted when I was 18. I'll tell everyone that with a wink and a nod. Just because I want something from someone and I want them to do something to me or for me, doesn't mean I get it. I learned that at an early age, so it doesn't really mean anything. Yes, they may want you, this or that. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It doesn't mean you have to give it up. I feel strongly we choose whatever we choose in our life from the first moment we breathe to the last moment we breathe. We're choosing and picking and deciding and saying, I believe this, I don't believe that. This is true for me. This isn't true for me. That is good. This is bad. And depending on where you are, it's going to be different for other people, but that's all right because you picked it up. You can put it back down, right? Because you took it off the shelf, you can put it back on the shelf. Whatever you want to put in that jar, this is what being a man means. This is what being a woman means. This is what abundance means. This is what Helen Blavatsky means. This is what they are. This is what you are. This is what my mother wanted. This is what sexy stuff means. You can take all of it and put it back and choose another one or choose nothing. Moment to moment, day to day, living in the now. That's what I feel is the magic of being alive. If you take all of your experience, Campbell mentioned recapitulation. So you bring everything down to who you are now, accepting that it's all your fault and that you made all these experiences. And that's what I mean by your fault. Not you're a bad person, which is what most people hear, or you're a horrible person, or you're unloving, although you might be bad, unloving, and horrible by your own definition, let's say. It's more like you have seen the power in your hands. That's what I think when NC said Jesus was a narcissist, meaning you have to focus everything back on yourself. because it's all your power, and that's not a bad thing. You can share love, you can share light, you can share a kick in the pants, you can share a chocolate bar, whatever. But unless you have it, as they say, a gift, you can't give what you don't have, right? So unless you have freedom, unless you have love, unless you have whatever it is you want to share with the world, you can't give a gift of something that's not in your pockets. And I'm talking about energetic gifts. And the best energetic gift I feel is to take full responsibility for everything you've ever done. Period.
And what's the bigger picture? Like, what are we doing here? And so many people get caught up in their life, right? And they live it day to day, and they try and get things, you know, I want this or I want that. And of course, what we want, we don't have, which is interesting. But you know, are you seeing life as this is it? You're this personality, you're this avatar, and you're just trying to get, you know, to certain points on the ladder or whatever before you leave and go on to something else? Or is it that you're an eternal being and this is just one little part of your experience, your reality, your growth? Because, you know, when we look at the bigger picture, does it really matter all the little bits and pieces that go on? Because, I mean, think of little bits and pieces that stressed you out 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Did they really matter? Like really? Probably not, right? So you know, we having a bigger picture. Someone said, I want a helicopter. Helicopter view, man. The helicopter view, right? Go up above the world and yourself and see things from a bigger picture. What's really going on here? It's pretty hard to make big, you know, decisions and get big concepts and make big change if you're just this little person that's being pushed around on the earth, right, by outside forces. But if you understand, look, that's not you, this is just an experience, a little part of you, then it changes everything. Because this is the thing, like when we do pass on, when people die, no one goes to their funeral and talks to them and says, oh, geez, they had so much money, or geez, they told people what to do, or anything like that. People talk about, you know, who they were, what did they give to the world, how much of themselves did they give? Oh my gosh, they were a loving person, they were a nice person, or they were an asshole, or whatever. That's what we're remembered for. You know, all the other stuff, it's just minutia. It doesn't really matter. And the funny thing with life and this reality is the more you hang on to that stuff, the more that you don't get it, the more it's like, oh, I want a whatever, right? A house by the beach, and I want a car, and I want money, and I want the beautiful woman. The more we sort of hyper focus on that's what we need to be more, you know, to be whatever, right? To be the hero of our story, to be respected, the more we tend to push it away, right? But if you can let go of that stuff and just be yourself and understand you are the creator and start thinking, well, I deserve whatever I want. It's an experience, but I can change it. Well, then things just tend to fall in your lap. It's very interesting how that works. You know, people spend decades chasing, you know, wealth, right? Obviously, it's an easy, you know, one to throw out there. And so many people never get there. They never get there, but they put all their energy into it. So what's going on here? You know, we're taught by, again, the New Age movement, right? Just focus on what you want and make your lists and do this and blah, 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 blah. But what's the result of that? Why is it, if that's true, then why don't we have all these amazing, happy people living these amazing lives everywhere? Because that's not what we see. It seems to be going backwards a little bit. But if you understand that everything is already inside you, then you've already got everything you need and everything you could ever want. You've already got it. Right? It's just it's just all you need to do is bring it out so you can interact with it, right? But as long as you think, oh, I need money, or I want a car, or whatever, you're telling yourself and the universe, whatever, that you don't have it, right? But if you can understand that you have everything that could ever be in existence already inside you, then you can interact with whatever you want, and then things start to move, and you know, all these amazing things start happening, you know, falling in your lap, you know. And I could literally like name 100 things that's happened to me in the last 4 or 5 years since I really changed my course. And you know, and this is a thing, like that was basically my accident. that's what changed the course. Like that's what really changed the course that I was on, right? And of course, an accident, nerve damage, losing the use of one arm. Most people would go, "That's bad. That's bad. Oh my God, poor little you. That's really a bad thing, right?" Well, is it? Because my life after that has changed for the better in so many ways. I've done so many things. I've met so many amazing people. And what it's taught me is I didn't need to go out and work, work a job or build it, whatever, right? I didn't need to go and get money to do all this stuff. It just happened. It just happened. So this is the thing. Sometimes, or I would say probably all the time, the worst things that happen to us, or whatever the things that we see as the worst things, are often the best things. But we will miss that if we don't understand that everything happens for us and not to us.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you're pointing to the outside, you're missing some potential from the inside, in my opinion. I hear you, Tim. Your food and bills aren't inside you. I got to go. So what? It's the same for everybody. What's the point? Like, what's the point in saying that? Basically, when you say things like that, if you're even a real person and if you're sharing something real, you're disempowering yourself. Instead of going, Campbell, how is that possible? What I don't understand is why people don't ask questions. Lorenzo, what do you mean you can be fantastic? What do you mean you can be free? Go, Campbell, you hurt yourself. What does that mean? How did you figure out how to become fantastic? How did you figure out how to make something that everyone would say is negative, or a lot of people, is amazing? How did you do that? I don't understand why, but I kind of do, why people don't ask these questions. The video today is how to escape Planet Stupid. So maybe some people have some suggestions out there and how to escape Planet Stupid, instead of just kind of laying blame, because that keeps you in Planet Stupid, I would find. Yes, we have bills. Yes, maybe we need food. Campbell's done a 19-day water fast. That impressed me. I haven't been able to do that. Maybe we don't need food. Maybe you don't need those bills. Maybe you could see what your bills are and maybe you could put them down. Really, your life can change as you decide they can change by understanding for yourself what you need to move away from and what you wish to keep, all according to yourself.
Yes, and yes, Vaughn, the Free Hugs Dude. Love that song. Sick Puppies, all the same. Still listen to it. And that's the kind of thing you can do, right? Walk out in a mall with a big sign saying free hugs and see what happens. Because if you watch that film clip at the start, no one's coming up and hugging him. He has to walk around, put himself out there, in his belief. And so, and it takes a few hours before people start coming up. And then suddenly one person does, and then another, and then suddenly everyone wants to hug him, and then the police shut him down. And so he says, well, I'm not listening to you, outside world. I'm going to get some people that agree with me, and if they sign a petition, and then he gives more free hugs, right? It's a good little story. And RF says, when I was a prick, I had everything but self-respect. When I became the man I could respect, I lost everything. Awesome. That's perfect. Like, what did you, because what are you saying you lost? Like, are we talking physical things? Because you've said that you could finally respect yourself. Like, isn't that the biggest win of all? Liking who you are, being comfortable in your own skin. And there's a million sayings that go along the line of you need to lose everything to gain everything, right? You need to lose all the possessions, and possessions, interesting word, possessions possess us, consumer culture, right? People running around getting things to fill their house up with, but for what? And as far as paying bills and all this kind of stuff, same thing. Like, people, oh my God, I can't pay the bills, I've got no money. And then they go and pay $9 for a takeaway coffee. So it's like, we have everything we need, but if we believe that we're in lack, then that's the only thing that we can project and the only thing we can interact with. I don't see life like that at all anymore. I mean, I'm sure I used to. I worked a job for, God, 30 years. That's just a bad memory at this point. But lots of lessons, right? Like, along the way, I learned lots of lessons, and everything that I've done in my life has made me who I am right now, sitting here in front of you. And it's the same with everyone watching. Everything you've done has made you the person that you are right now. So the question is that a good or bad? Do you like yourself who you are now? You know, we're never going to hit the finish line, because there is no finish line, right? There's no ultimate person that we need to be or that we're going to become, because this thing doesn't stop, right? You know, even at the end of life, it doesn't stop. It keeps going, and you'll look back and go, "Oh my God," and you'll laugh and at how, you know, it's just all silly, right? At the end, it's just all an experience, and so enjoy the experience, man. Enjoy the ride, and become more of who you are, and become that person that you can respect. Tim says humans weren't meant to be in abundance. Well, I mean, that's just a belief. I don't believe that. And
we are meant to be.
Humans were meant to be in abundance. Okay, sorry, I read that wrong. Yes, but again, we're meant to be. Like, you're in abundance right now. You're just not interacting with it. Everything's inside you. Everything you want to do and experience, you can do, you can have, because you've already got it, right? The trick is to put it out there and so that you can interact with it, right? And abundance is all there is. You know, the outside world spends so much time trying to make us believe that there's lack. Lack doesn't exist anywhere in this realm. I don't think it exists anywhere in creation. It doesn't. So yeah, I agree. We are supposed to be in abundance, but you know, the caveat to that is we already are. Even the people who are living on the streets or living in bad countries, they already are too. The problem is they're starting to believe the outside world, and when we do that, that's when we start living like the outside world wants us to. And most people think it's a hard world. Oh my God, there's people telling me what to do. It's a prison planet, blah, blah, blah. But that's only true if you believe it, because when you believe it, you'll live it.
You know, Campbell, maybe you could tell people a little bit about our course that's coming up. You know, we're launching it tomorrow. You know, Find Your Real Self. I'm going to make an offer to some people shortly afterwards. Everyone that maybe wants to chat with us briefly, you know, maybe at some point we'll have one free gathering with all the people that have all these questions and suggestions and challenges, and that, you know, if they're willing to show their face and talk to us personally, might help us to know them and them to know us. And if it's real, may help everyone out. But for now, we have a course launching tomorrow. Campbell, maybe you can tell our lovely viewers a little bit about it.
Yes, we do. Yes. Basically 10 Zoom meetings over 10 weeks. And we just want to get more personal with people so we can sort of, you know, address more specific topics, answer questions, and really, again, just give you things to think about, you know, a different perspective, because that's what we really need, because you can't make a decision with less than 3 points of view. You know, if you've got less than 3 points of view, you're being told something. So we want to give you some more points of view so that you can look at things broader and start to actually make some changes. And of course, you know, we want to support people through this change, because it's not always easy. And maybe, you know, get you focused in on what you do want, because most people don't know what they want, Bill. They don't. I ask people all the time, what do you want? And 99% of them, I just want money. Well, no one wants more money. They think they do. What they want is the things that money can give them, right? So sometimes the best place to be is to know what you don't want. But this is the thing. We just want to, you know, chat with people. We want to get specific. We want to help people get over any roadblocks they've got, give them a different perspective. Let's show them, look, the road's much wider than you think it is. You know, that there are, you know, other roads that you can take, you know, at the intersections. You don't have to keep following the one you're on. And it's all inside you. And it's all your fault. You've been an asshole, but you've also been amazing. You know, you've been mean to people, but you've also helped people. And the caveat again to that is, you know, are we mean to anyone, or are we just teaching them lessons? Right? Are we just all interacting with each other just to help each other. And so all these things that we think are bad, and oh my God, I was such an asshole, and I did, you know, we don't ever see from the other perspective, right? And like I've said, most of these things that we perceive as bad, they're actually lessons to help us grow. So even when we think, oh my God, I was so bad there and I treated these people so bad and I shouldn't have done this, you know, is that even true? And this is the thing, like if we can see from a bigger perspective, the bigger picture, then we can make bigger changes. And that's really what this is all about. Our course, you'll find the link below. It's the, yeah, Hippie has just posted it as well. I just wanted to talk about this. Bill's mother's died. I'm very sorry to hear that. Death is hard, man. I've been through it myself just a couple of years ago, not my parents, but, you know, someone very close to me. And, you know, it messed me up big time. But what happened to me is I started, you know, I caught myself. I was spiraling down, man. Like I've never had depression or anything, but that's the one time where I've thought, you know, first sort of went through this thing that I guess was like depression, right? But what I did is I'm like, you know, lucky, right? I keep saying this, and I am, right? You may as well say it. Because I'd done a lot of work on myself and I caught myself going down. And so I understood I had to do something different. I had to make a change. You know, what was the point of me, you know, focusing on, oh my God, this is horrendous. This is against me. This is blah, 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 blah. And I started focusing on, well, you know, where is she now? Like, I mean, she's out of the matrix. I don't believe that anyone dies. So she probably knows more than I do. Right. So you have to get a different perspective. And I'm not saying this is easy, but you need to start looking, you know, for the silver lining, as they say, and start to pull yourself out. But also, you know, the biggest thing, I guess, that I understood at that point is death. Death isn't necessarily a bad thing for the person who's died. We perceive it as bad because we're told that life is finite, right? But maybe death is freedom. You know, from this, you know, especially if you're not having fun down here and it's a prison planet and all that, well, death is definitely freedom, right? But then the other thing was, you know, if they're up there looking down on us, or if they can see us in any way, like, well, who do we want them to see? Like, who do we want to be? Do we want to make them proud, or do we want to, you know, do the opposite? So it's you know, it's a hard one. And it's definitely not easy, man. But there's definitely a silver lining to everything. And this is the thing, getting a bigger perspective of what is life. What is life? You know, what did your mother teach you? Like how amazing was she, right? Like how lucky were you to have her as your mother? And we can't all be here forever. And so you can take that stuff and we can make people live on by letting their spirit live on, right? You can pass on the lessons that she taught you and the energy that she taught you. And, you know, time, as they say, you know, does heal. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, you know, she's up there watching you. Make her proud. Make her proud of the person that you become. Let her see you change yourself and change the world around you and, you know, have a positive impact. Like that would be my advice on that. But I'm, you know, it's a hard one, man. But mainly because we're told that life is finite and no one knows what's on the other side of the door, and so we have to sort of make that choice and that belief for ourselves. So yes.
And Eleanor, it's a good question, Eleanor. It's a good question.
Yes.
You know, would it be worth doing the course if you already love yourself? I would say yes, in that you could share what you've learned with the class, so to speak. It makes it stronger. I mean, I already love myself deeply. I'm more of my real self, but I'm still learning stuff every day by doing these chats, by giving, by sharing, by even doing this course. I learn as much as the people involved, maybe more, you know, because we're putting it on and we're exploring ourselves and we're going deeper and deeper. And I figure there's always more to know and there's always more to love as long as you're alive. So, you know, you could share with some of the other ladies that maybe were there with us how you got to where you got to. It could be very helpful. Campbell and I can share from a man's perspective, you know, how we love ourselves and how we're more of our real selves, but, you know, we're obviously not women. and there will be some women in the course that I know of already. And so having everyone come together to share what's worked, what hasn't worked, what's been beautiful, what hasn't been beautiful, I can pretty much guarantee if you participate in something like that, you'll get something out of it, simply because you always get what you give. And if you're giving love and real self and understanding and how to grow in wonder and beauty, and it's all an honest perspective on your own power, well, it can't help but reflect back at you and your life moving forward. And we'd love to see you
Yeah,
on top of it.
and it's a journey, Eleanor. I don't think we ever reach the end. I think that when we reach the end, like that's death, right? That's the doorway. Like, is there anything that you want to do? How do you want to change the world? Which I think is really, the bigger picture. Like, what mark do you want to leave? Do you want to make this world a better place for you being here, or a worse place? Like, there's always more growth. There's always more learning. There's always more doing. I mean, loving yourself is great, but what's the result of that? Like how is that changing the world? Like, because if you're in a state of loving yourself and everything, then that's great. Then you've worked and you've changed yourself. But what's the result? Like, are there things that you want to change? There's definitely. I mean, oh my God, there's so many things about the world that I want to change, and I can't go out and change them, but I can influence people. I can influence the energy, and I don't ever see a time where I'm going to be sitting down and like, yes, I've done it. Like I said before, there is no finish line. It's a constant journey of expansion. And so loving yourself is great, but what do you want? Like, what do you want to achieve? Not what do you want, to put on your shelf in your house or to have a number in your bank account, but what do you want your effect of your life to be? How do you want to be remembered? What else can you do? Do you have children? Do you have grandchildren? Right? How do you want to affect their lives? How do you want to affect your partner's life? Because, like we hear of these gurus who sit up in caves and meditate and all this stuff for 50 years, and apparently some of them can fly and levitate and all this. Great. But what's the point? You do that anyway when you die, right? Like, so what's the point? How is that affecting the world? Like, self-love is great, but I mean, sitting down in self-love is kind of like sitting down in self-pity. It doesn't change the world in any practical way, does it? And I believe we're here to change the world through our influence, through who we are, through our actions, not by telling people anything. Because I mean, I've seen people tell the system to change forever, and politicians are just liars, and how dare they, and tax is thievery. Yeah, well, great, awesome. Clearly that doesn't work. Saying that, it doesn't change anything, but there's a lot of work to be done here. So yeah, I'd say that there's always something else to learn.
Always something.
So we'd love to see you there.
Again, once again, self-love is masturbation. If you're even a real person, Balaz kiss. I mean, sure, it could be. I guess that's what you want to do, but also it doesn't mean anything, right? It's like people masturbate all the time without actually, being physical about it, just by telling themselves a story or stirring themselves a soda by, if you believe something, if you're in a political situation, if you're in a religion, if you tell yourself what love is, it just means you're giving yourself pleasure, let's say, or you're self-pleasuring yourself, and it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. It's just a matter of understanding, what is self-love. I mean, I understand a lot of what Campbell's saying, but, of course it's good to love yourself, because you need to have a loving interaction with yourself to figure out who you are. I mean, if you hate yourself, you could do that too. I mean, it could be just as useful, hating yourself and figuring out why you hate yourself. Exactly. It could be just as useful, because it's all about you understanding you. In some ways, it's like, what is love? If everything is love, as people think, then there's no reality. There's no way you can't love yourself. Even if you're being mean to yourself, you're kind of loving yourself. Even if you're being mean to the person in the room, you're kind of being loved, because maybe you're showing them how not to be. My mother was very strange, let's say, in her way. And I was angry with her for 10 years until I realized, man, she taught me a whole bunch of how not to be alive, how not to be angry, how not to be possessive and selfish and so limited in my understanding of life. How not to be, narcissistic in the bad way, meaning you only care what you want and not what other people want, which is an outside sort of narcissism instead of an inside one. And it helped me quite a bit, quite a bit. And that's the point of what Campbell is saying. He's basically saying, if you love yourself, you can help the world. If you know yourself, you can help the world. If you understand yourself, you can help the world. And the more you can do that, the more you can be. And like Campbell said, as long as, there's always more. We live in infinity. I find every time I think I know everything, something says, no, you don't. And it's been showing me that my whole life. And, and I bet you on and over and on to even beyond this life, there's probably always something more to understand, to know, and to experience, because why else are we here? I don't think God made a mistake. I don't think God made a mistake. I don't think Spirit made a mistake. I don't think Buddha, wherever you think you came from. And all this talk about mayo is pretty strange, by the way, because I'm not quite sure why we're talking about mayo on sandwiches throughout the chat over there, when it's about, unless that's how you get out of Planet Stupid, by having a nice mayo and peanut butter sandwich. But besides the point, how you decide to grow in what you want to do and where you want to go is how you can move beyond that. And Bill, perhaps you'd like to join us, because that could maybe help you get over what seems to be a very negative state you're living through right now. And by negative, I mean not happy in your own skin.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of these comments, especially by Balat's Kiss, I mean, this is kind of why we did this show, because this is what we see all the time. People, are listening to us, obviously want something to change. They want a different perspective. But we say things and we get responses like this. And that response is really you just saying, la, 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 la. I don't want to hear it, because then I'd have to do something and I'd have to change. I mean, the masturbation thing, I mean, that's, how old are you, dude? Are you in kindergarten still? Yeah. How did you get on this? I mean, seriously, that's all you talk. That's all you're doing. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to change. So I'm going to say something stupid. That's if you're a real person. You're probably just a bot, right? But this is literally the reason we decided to call this show Escape from Planet Stupid. It's time to get real. So, thanks. I'm here to say Magyar is mother language. Great. Awesome. What are you saying with that? That because your heritage goes back to the Magyar, that somehow makes you better than someone else for something you didn't even do? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Because again, this is exactly what you're doing. No, I don't want to change. I'm look at my ancestry. I come from the Magyar. Great, man. I've read the Oralinda book. I know what you're on about, but it doesn't make you better. Everyone in the Oralinda book are white. I'm white. Doesn't make me better. That's like the reparations we were talking about before. What do you want the world to shower money on you? How's that going to help you? You're trying to take accolades for something that you had nothing to do with, and all that's going to do is keep you stuck where you are, going round and round in circles.
And Sharon,
so it's time to get real.
I don't think you do get. I don't think you do get a next time, Sharon. Just so you know, there's only a Sharon Sanders if that's your real name once, and that's why we're here. We're here to get it once. So if you're missing something, the time to get real would be now. And the way to do it is with every ounce and little bit of information and bit of energy that you have, because, saying I'll come again, I'll get another chance, whatever if you'll pardon me being rude, is a bit of a cop-out, because it means you're missing something now. And you're basically saying, I can't do it now, so maybe it'll come later. And, someday never comes. I saw a school here in Japan once, which I would never go to. The school was called Someday English. My wife and I were laughing our heads off. It's like saying you're never going to get English. Why would you go to a school called Someday English? It's like saying someday free, someday rich. And you're basically telling yourself it's not now, so it's never going to happen. So it's pretty much the worst title I've ever heard for a class teaching you something. Yeah, I know.
Great.
And it's a bit of a chain. I've seen a few of them.
I don't know how to speak it.
I know. But someday you'll have English. Someday you'll be free. Someday you'll be happy. Someday, how about today,
man?
Yeah.
All we have is now.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So, who knows if we get another? We don't know. if we get another turnaround. This is the common sort of concept, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll get judged, and they'll be like, "Well, you wasted that life, so you don't get to play again." Sorry. And Balat says it's Noongar Magyar, which is interesting. Noongar is obviously it's an Australian native language. Same thing.
Oh.
Same thing. How does that apply to you? How does that apply to your life? What? How does that make you anything? It's like me saying English, and so I'm good. Like, what does that even mean? It's time to get real. Like, if you want to change, you don't have to change, guys. It's all your choice. All your choice. You can, log out and say, these guys are bloody idiots. Awesome. That's a choice. You've made a choice. That's good. But, if you do want to change it, a lot of these comments, are just silly, and they're just defense mechanisms. So you don't have to look inside yourself. So you don't have to change.
I don't believe he's a real man.
No, I'm sure
he's a real person.
But it's a good.
His answers aren't.
It's the universe, right? Giving us a good example is what it is. Because everything comes at the right time. And here we go again, right? English is a slave language. Great. So, I mean, what does that mean? So thank you, whatever you are, bots, universe, for giving these things. Yeah. Do we want to come back to this realm? Well, does that even matter? All we've got is now. Like, you're projecting into the future, into something that you don't know and you can't ever know while you're here in this avatar. All there is now. That's all we can deal with, is the here and now, who we are. That's it. Night will look great. You want to look like a stud, right? It's all the same thing, right? Like of course, Nightcrawler is probably just a program that's crawling, and this is the thing. It's a good reason to not get triggered by people, because we don't even know what a person is when we're online anymore. Half of them we know are bots.
Well, that's why we're inviting anybody, send me an email, full4power@gmail.com, number 4, full4power. Anybody, any of these complainers, any of these people that have all the negative things, say they want to come on a live with myself. Probably Campbell will join us too. We'd be delighted to show your face, to have a chat, to see the look in your eyes as you're sharing whatever you're sharing about whatever you're sharing that seems to me to be not real. If you're daring enough, as we're daring enough, to actually come on and share and show the world how you look as you're expressing these comments, well, that would be amazing, because I think it couldn't be anything but a helpful, useful, and wonderful experience for everyone involved. And another way to look at things, I would say, Patrice, instead of this realm, look at things as a dream. Do I want to come back and have the same dream? Life is but a dream. I strongly feel we're all dreaming awake. We're all creating this dream. We're all making our life as we see through our experiences. And you could say you're dreaming. I don't think sleep is just sleep. I think it's giving us an experience of how we could be in our waking time. I learned so much last night in my dreams that I'm bringing to my life today that has already changed me. Even as I woke up this morning, I go, holy crap, that was a crazy dream. What did I learn for myself? And I could have said, that's just a dream, whatever. Or I could have said, whoa, what did I learn? What am I bringing to myself? Why did I ask for that dream I had last night? Because it was my dream. No one was there having that dream with me. So what did I learn to bring to myself, to show to you guys, to show to myself, to show to the world, to bring it along, and to see how we can grow from that and get strong.
Yeah. I mean, it's all you. And in the end, can we even prove that anyone or anything else exists? Right? I mean, can't really, because all we can ever know is our own experience. That's all that we get to deal with. Are Lorenzo and I real? Well, who knows? Maybe we're just, something in your mind to put extra thoughts in there so that you can, have more expression, like more awareness, more expansion. Who knows, right? Who knows anything? I don't think anything is solid. I don't think anything is fixed. I don't think that there is a final answer for anyone, because we're all on different journeys. We're not all racing towards the same point, because there would be no point to that, right? So that's it, guys.
I have to say, Gregory, one thing, Gregory, the Asian women in Japan, they're getting very big. And unfortunately, I'm noticing the more I go outside, the more they're also becoming obese. It's crazy. So, You know, the grass is not greener anywhere. I'm finding wherever you are, there you are. The grass isn't greener here. The grass isn't greener there. I would say if you want to change, you know, grassroots, look under your feet for the grass growing between your toes and see how you can maybe help those out and help change them, because that might be where you make the best lawn to put your ass down and have a good life. You know, change your own lawn, change your own grass, change your own rules, change your own stupidity. And I would love to see everyone come join us who feels like it. We're starting tomorrow. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or you do, the link is below. We'd be so happy to see, well, up to 20 of you there with us starting tomorrow.
Yeah, you'll find the link down below. So if you want to, you know, get into some deeper conversations like this, if you want to get real, please, you know, click the link, check it out, and we'd love you to join us. And yeah, I think this has been a very interesting comment section. I mean, obviously, you know, most of you are you know, taking this on as information, but it's interesting that, you know, that the universe always throws things up to sort of, to show, well, at least for me, right, to show us that this was a show worth doing, because we're saying get real, and we have all these, whatever they are, people, trolls, bots, we don't know, just throwing silly comments out, which is the whole point, again, of why we did this show, because this is what we see constantly, is we put out concepts and everyone says, I want to change, I want something better, I want a different point of view. But then they put their hands on their ears and go, blah, 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 I'm not listening, I'd rather masturbate, is real, relative, blah, 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 I'm good because of something I didn't do, blah, blah. Guys, it's all minutia. How's that changing anything? Right? But I just find it very, very interesting. You know, we all have these things that we believe are real, but, you know, can we prove it? Can we prove it? And what is belief? Belief is a fixed position. Do you want to be fixed? Do you want to not change? Right?
Sounds very rude, a fixed position. I think Campbell's being polite when he says put your fingers in your ears. I think basically you're putting your head up your bum, basically, when you make comments like that. And then you're telling everyone you like the smell of your own farts. You know, that's what I would say.
That's what I was going to say. That's what we say in Australia.
Yeah.
They like the smell of their own farts. They're so far up themselves.
You know, yeah. So if you're real, that's great. If you're a bot, it's fine. If you're being paid to, you know, to interrupt, great. I hope you're getting a good salary from whoever's asking you to do this. If it's a hobby, fantastic. Maybe there's better ones. But, you know, Patrice, good night. I'll see you the next time. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow. And everyone who joined us from all over the world, we really enjoy your perspective, and even the non-helpful comments, as Campbell said, have been super helpful.
Helpful, yeah, exactly, man. It's all how you look at it. So thank you for everyone, like everyone who's commented. We appreciate it. Thanks for everyone who's been here. Thanks to the mods, of course. And you'll find the link below. And we hope you have an amazing weekend. And we hope to see some of you tomorrow. We'll be doing our first webinar, you know, an hour to an hour and a half, getting a lot more personal with personal, you know, issues a few people have raised that they've got things they're going through at the moment. That's what we want to get into, make it more poignant to where you are now, and give you some different perspectives so you can go forward in a different direction. So thanks for joining us, guys. Stay awesome, and we'll see you. Well, we might have some news coming up soon. We won't be doing another live like this for a little while, but we'll be floating around at some point, so keep your eyes peeled. All right, guys, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Don't forget,
talk to you next time. What was that? Don't forget. No, nothing. All right,
don't forget to write us if you have any suggestions. Talk to you soon.
Yes.
Love you all.
Send us an email if you want to get on for a chat. Let us know, and stay awesome, because you are. Bye for now.